we're going to do two things in this video. First, we're going to start to layer in the background, which means we're going to add a white layer that kind of masks some of this jagged edge here at the bottom. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the trail from an existing photo, and we're going to heavily manipulate that trail so that we can drop it into our drawing here. So what I want you to do at this point is that I want you to go ahead and create a new layer. All right. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to grab the polygonal lasso tool that happens to be hiding underneath the third tool there. And what that basically means is this is a selection tool that allows us to draw a straight, draw a polygon of any shape that we want. So I'm going to start like this, and I'm going to kind of draw something that kind of follows these curves fairly well and maybe tapers off a bit over here. Anyway, we're going to drop some white paint in on top of this basically here in just a second. So now that I've got a selection, I'm going to go ahead and use my paint bucket and drop in some of that color. I'm actually going to move it up so that I've hidden all of the jagged edge, but you see it's still got kind of a straight line to it as well, and so I want to make that fuzzier. So I'm going to use my magic wand. I'm going to feather that selection, and I'm going to change that up real quick. I'm going to feather it to about 40, and then just kind of mask that off a little bit. And so you'll see I can kind of move that up now so that we have kind of a foggy effect, hiding that, obscuring that background layer there. It'll just help us with layering a little bit later on. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab this trail. Now you saw in the original drawing, if I go ahead and bring it back in here, or at least the image that we're trying to create, you see a curved trail that goes off to the side. Well, that curved trail started from this image. I found a nice straight trail down the beginning here. So what I want you to do first is go ahead and double click on the background layer, and basically it asks you to create a new layer. It just activates that layer for us. What that allows me to do now, if I just want to show you real quick, is that I now can erase through it. And that's the key here, because what we're going to do is we're going to grab that polygonal lasso tool. We're going to go almost up here to the end of the trail, and I want to create basically something like this. I don't want the tree trunks in the drawing, I just want the trail itself. Right? So now if I hit Control-Shift-I and I hit delete, I've got it, right? So just the trail, that's all that I've got left there. I certainly can come in at this point now and I could select out some of the other features to go ahead and edit this trail. And I think I want to do that at this point. So using I'm going to set my tolerance to 32 on my magic wand. I'm going to grab some of the browns there, and I'm just going to delete it. I'm not going to worry it too much. If it deletes a little bit of my path, it's not that big a deal. It'll fill itself in later. But the reason I'm doing it this way is that I really want a path that doesn't have a hard edge to it, because a hard edge is really hard to integrate into a new drawing. And so you can kind of see that the only thing that's left here that kind of has that hard edge is right down this edge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and use one of my erase tools. How about this one? And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean up. I just don't want that hard edge there. And so I don't mind a little bit. I'm just going to erase out some of those little pockets. All right. See, so now I've got a trail kind of heading straight into the background. Well, realistically, I want a trail that's heading, off to the edge of this paper, right? And so the drawing, that we're working on has the trail going in a different route. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the free transform. Remember, you can get there from the edit menu, or you can just hit Control-T. I'm going to go ahead, and when I'm here, I'm going to hold the control button down, and it's going to give me these special controls at the corners. You can see that I can start to manipulate this image, and all I'm really doing is I'm shifting the image off to the right, and I'm kind of pulling it down in this direction. This is what free transform allows us to really do. By using the control key to kind of start to separate this out, you can see that suddenly the trail is headed in a very different direction than where it was going before. And I think something like that is what I'm aiming for this drawing. Once I've got it roughly where I want to work, I can go ahead and copy this, Control-A, Control-C, and bring it back into my drawing. And you can see that that's way too big. It doesn't really fit where I want it to go. I want to make sure that it's underneath my frame, but I'm going to use Control-T again here. And I'm going to drag it down a little bit, and then I'm going to resize this. All right, just keep coming down. Keep coming down. I think I'm even going to go ahead and pull just out to the edge and kind of shrink it around. That way it's kind of heading off to the side here. And so now I've got my path kind of heading off, how about just to the edge of that tree that I've got sitting there. And so something along those lines is what I'm looking for. Remember, that frame is hiding some extra stuff down here in front as well, which helps me out. But now I've got some of that background shading occurring, and I've got my path dropped in.